Hello everybody. Since I got a 5.5 hour drive between my house and the boat, I figured I'd kill some time and talk about the purchase of a boat. It's not like buying a car, it's more like buying a house. Obviously, if you're looking to buy a boat, you do your research, you find the boat that appeals to you. But you definitely got to go into it not wanting to buy the first boat that your eyes absolutely admire. You want to really break the boat down into its parts and pieces and make sure that everything, the total package, is good. Even if you like the interior, if the outside isn't quite what you got to live with this purchase, so you want to make sure that you make the right purchase. So typically you find your boat and there's a selling price, an asking price. You get a hold of the broker, or if it's a private owner, you know, what they're asking and what you offer is totally dependent upon a survey. Buying a boat without having a survey done on it is a very risky deal. Our boat, the asking price on it was $55,000, and you know, pending the survey, with all of the equipment that was listed on it, everything that it was supposed to have, we offered $45,000, and that was contingent upon the survey saying that everything that was listed in the ad was 100% accurate. Once we made the offer, then the seller had the opportunity to either accept it or decline it. Our situation, the seller accepted the offer. We had 2 weeks to get the survey done. So it's a quick process once you've made that offer. I'm sure the times can vary depending on the broker, but our broker, we had 2 weeks to get the survey completed. So we scheduled that out. The survey was about $250 just for the hull, and then we had a mechanical survey that was additional, and then we had a rigging survey. All total for all of the surveys, it was about $1,200. Once we made the offer of $45,000, we had to give 10% of that as a deposit on the boat, so we had to come up with $4,500. Out of that $4,500, it would pay for the surveys, the haul out. If we backed out of the deal, we still had to pay for the survey and the haul out and all that, but we would have gotten the remainder of the deposit back. Going forward with the deal, then the balance left over after the survey and everything's paid for, that goes towards the purchase price. At any rate, we had the survey done, and a lot of the gear that was listed in the ad was obsolete gear. The radar is old, the wind instrument, the depth meter, none of that stuff works properly. Water maker, that works, solar works, the autopilots, I'm having some trouble with those. I don't know if they just need to be calibrated or replaced completely. At any rate, after the survey was done, a lot of the problems were small, nothing structural, nothing that was really detrimental to the boat itself. It was just all the little added conveniences. But those added conveniences cost money. So after the survey was complete, I think the seller knew that everything wasn't quite as good as he had hoped. It wasn't as good as we had hoped either. So when it was all said and done, we actually offered $42,500, and he agreed to that. Once we made the final offer and the seller agreed to that, we then had 2 weeks to come up with the money. So it's a fast process. One of the things that you need to take into consideration when you're looking at making the boat purchase is making sure you have a place to put the boat, whether you're going to have it on a mooring ball, you're going to store it in a boatyard on the hard, you're going to rent a slip to park it, keep it plugged into shore power. You know, those are things you got to take into consideration, and slip prices vary drastically from marina to marina. In Southern California, where we're at, it's anywhere between $600 to $1,000 a month for a slip. We were looking at possibly moving the boat to Texas, and we were finding equivalent slip amenities, power and sewer and different stuff like that, for about $350 a month. So, you know, obviously the location has a big effect on that price as well. The other thing the insurance for the boat. Most marinas, I haven't found one that doesn't, so you know, I'm not going to say all marinas do, because there might be some out there that don't, but all of the marinas I checked require you to have insurance on the boat and have them additionally insured. The marinas that we looked at, it was $300,000 liability insurance the marina wanted to be covered for, just for your boat to be there. So those are things that you need to take into consideration. Once you've started the buying process, you know, there's time frames that need to be adhered to. Those things can be worked out with the broker and the seller. You know, there's a lot of room for compromise, but it is a quick process once you've actually made the offer. After your offer's been accepted, your funding has gone through, you've found the marina, you know where you want to put the boat, where you're going to store it, if you're going to move on to it. Some marinas offer live aboard fees. The one we're at, we could move on to the boat full time. But then you got to take into consideration registering the vessel, whether you're going to do a state registration or you're going to do a federally documented vessel, which we chose to go federally documented. And the reason being is we are going to be traveling internationally, and a state registered vessel is not recognized internationally. So in order to have that extra safety factor built in, having a documented vessel with the United States Coast Guard, Department of Homeland Security, you're definitely going to want to go that route. It can be an extremely complicated process. The more I dug into it, the more I thought, I'm just going to have somebody else do that. You know, I want to be fully involved in the boat and all the little nuances of the boat and making sure that I'm completely familiar with it. Documenting the vessel is not something that I found to be important for me to get really right down into the middle of. So I got a hold of a maritime documentation firm in San Diego, gave them the information for the boat, and they took care of that process. That cost me about $435, but now it's a federally documented boat. You don't get a title, you get the certificate of documentation, which serves as a title. One of the benefits of being documented is the ability for maritime mortgages. Take a loan out on the boat. It's considered essentially, you know, I don't know the legal term for it, but it's tangible property as opposed to a state registered boat. One thing I have found is, even though it's federally documented, some states still require you to register it with the state that you have the boat in the water. And if you move from state to state while you're sailing, if you're in their water over 90 days, they can still have you register that boat in that state. You know, so if we were to go from California through the Panama Canal and over to Texas and stay in Texas for 3 months, 90 days, I'd have to register the boat in Texas too. So you don't get away from state registration completely. What you don't have to do is put the state numbers on the hull of the boat. Your federal documentation supersedes that, but you do have to get the state sticker, the 1 year annual sticker each year that you're there. The thing that's bad about it is if you end up staying 3 different states over a period of a year, you might have to register that boat 3 different times. One of the exceptions is if you leave that state's waterways for an extended period of time. When I was talking to the Fish and Game in Texas, if I was in their water over 90 days, legally I would have to register the boat with them. But if I was to take it out of their water, say go over to Louisiana for a couple of weeks, I had some receipts showing that I had the boat out of Texas's waters, and I ended up going back to Texas, then my 90 days would start over again. So, you know, some places might be a little more picky on it than others, but that's something that you got to take into consideration as well. If you're going to go offshore with the boat, you're going to go internationally, then you've got to get it federally documented anyway, so that'll just save you a whole lot of headache down the road. One thing to take into consideration is the dinghy is not covered with that documentation. If you've got a dinghy on the boat and it has an outboard, it will still have to have the state registration. It's not all encompassing with the federal documentation. So our dinghy is registered in California. It has all of its own state numbers and the annual sticker. The boat is federally documented, so it has its own Coast Guard certificate. But if it's in the water over 90 days, then I still have to do the annual sticker on the boat. There's a lot of little tidbits here and there that, man, I didn't see them coming. As this thing progressed, you find out a little bit more information, and that leads you to some more information, and there's a lot to it. But you know, if I touched on any subjects that you want further explanation on, or you know, I can give you any help with what I've experienced. It's not going to be the same for each and every case, I'm sure, but you know, I'm more than happy to share what I've had to experience to get this process done. It took 4 months to get the final certificate back from the Coast Guard. That's not a fast process at all. The Maritime Documentation Center, they sent in the paperwork, and they gave me their copy of what they were sending in, which covered me until the Coast Guard sent me the first document from them, which was essentially them saying, yes, we've received this information. Here's this temporary file to put in your boat until your permanent one arrives. Well, that permanent one took almost 4 months. If you go on the Coast Guard's website, they say right on there they're 4 months behind. So, you know, if you don't see one in, you know, a week or a month or 2 months, don't get excited about it, because it's coming. It just takes a little while. Anyhow, like I said, if you've got any questions or comments, or want me to dig into something a little deeper, leave a comment down below. You know, if the information was helpful, please click like, and check us out on Facebook. There's a link up in the cover photo, and what you'll see up there is pictures and different video that we'll put up online before I can get a YouTube video up. They do take a while to put together and edit and clip, and they're fun to put together, but they are a little time consuming. So anyhow, hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and to everybody that already has subscribed, thank you very much. I get excited every time I see that number go up. It makes me feel good. Maybe I'm doing something right. So look forward to hearing from you. Everybody have a great day. Talk to you later.